Now, a very important thing to mention as to why Lenire is a scam, basically, why it doesn't decrease tinnitus, is the fact that Neuromod changed Lenire's official description. You can take a look on their website right now. It's going to be somewhere there in tiny little letters to a habituation device, post FDA approval. What that means is most likely somebody at the FDA was not satisfied with the study structure or was not satisfied with the efficacy of the device, and subsequently they had to change it. Neuromod had to change the description. This in itself is a extremely massive red flag for the efficacy of Neuromod Lenire. What this basically means is Neuromod themselves are admitting that their device pretty much does nothing, because habituation is, in other words, getting used to your tinnitus. So what is a habituation device? I don't know. How is it supposed to help you habituate? I don't know. It could be compared to sound therapy being used to help people's habituation during the tinnitus retraining therapy process. So basically just helping you get used to it somehow. Even though before they claimed that bimodal stimulation is apparently supposed to, supposed to decrease tinnitus objectively, which Lenire does not do. Now, let's move on to Susan Shore's device, which is actually the real tinnitus bimodal stimulation device that actually has objective efficacy. I'm not going to go into details here, but I'm going to give a small description for those who just stumbled across my channel. Susan Shore's device, or the research of Susan Shore, is backed by decades and decades of research, over 20 years of research. I have read every single one of her scientific papers on the subject. Objective measurements were used in their study. They measured people's minimal masking level, basically how much noise is needed to mask the tinnitus completely, and also loudness matching. They also had double-blinded placebo control, where they had one device, which was the active treatment device, which was the device that worked, and the device that was the sham treatment, or the device that didn't work. And by comparing both the results of both of these groups, you can come to a conclusion which effects or which changes are placebo and which are not, which is extremely important. Now, bimodal stimulation is extremely crucial to have very precise signal timing in bimodal stimulation. Signal timing is absolutely everything. Hey everybody, I thought today I would record another video about why people should not, absolutely under any circumstances, purchase Neuromod Lenire. I have made videos about this in the past, but I think that making another more in-depth one where I kind of focus all of the most important information is pretty important for me to do, so let's get into it. Now, let's start firstly with the study structure. Now, what I'm going to be comparing Neuromod Lenire to today is Susan Shore's, or the Oracle, tinnitus device. Let's start with the study structure of both Neuromod and Susan Shore's device. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, placebo control and bias reduction is absolutely necessary in the study of a subjective condition, meaning that only the person can evaluate it. Yes, the patient. There is no way that anybody can listen to another person's tinnitus unless it is, something else, like something to do with your blood vessels or anything like that. Most tinnitus is subjective. Yeah. Now, the most important thing to know about a subjective condition like tinnitus is that a person can actually significantly improve maybe just, their mood or, their just general psychological state just by telling them some positive information, like, for example, everything is going to be okay, etc., etc. Now, like I've discussed previously, one element of some tinnitus studies is something called the Tinnitus Functional Index, which is also known as TFI. The TFI score is basically a questionnaire that the user fills out pretty much stating, evaluating their own condition on a scale of 1 to 10, in different factors like, their level of distress, etc., etc. Now, the problem of this TFI scoring is that, again, it is completely subjective. So it is only from the perspective of the patient. So Lenire only used TFI scoring in their study. There was absolutely no objective measurement of tinnitus, like minimal masking level, loudness matching of the tones. It's basically the same as somebody asking, how do you feel now? How do you feel now? Yeah, this isn't enough for a tinnitus study. There are numerous factors that can actually improve a person's TFI or a person's psychological state. Obviously, people are going to feel a little bit better knowing that they are being treated for tinnitus. Yeah, this is called, also known as the placebo effect, regardless of the objective efficacy of the device. So, for example, you give somebody a tinnitus treatment that doesn't work, for example, and the fact that they know and understand that they are being treated for their tinnitus, regardless of the efficiency of the device, even if it doesn't work, like Lenire, if it doesn't work whatsoever, their mood is still going to, improve. Their anxiety might go down, it might decrease. Now, this introduces, the very fact that anxiety is lower due to the patient's understanding that they are being treated for their tinnitus, introduces extreme bias into the study. That's why there absolutely must be placebo control to compare clinically significant differences of the active treatments and the sham treatments. So to give a small explanation, the placebo control in general is to avoid this exact issue, to avoid the placebo effect, or, especially some subjective, in subjective conditions such as tinnitus. Yeah. Now, a control group, if Neuromod actually wanted to make a control group, which would have been absolutely extremely easy for them to do, they absolutely could have done it. It would have been effortless to include it. They did not include a placebo or a control group. Yes. Now, this is, of course, obviously problematic. So if we take a closer look at placebo control, one example can be, for example, you have two devices, one of which is the working device and the other one is the sham treatment, the one that does nothing. And you compare both of these groups to make sure that the improvements, at least in TFI or anything else, are not just like subjective changes, like a person's anxiety being lower or something along those lines. I'm not going to go into details about this. You can take a look at some of Susan Shore's papers if you're interested in this, or in the future I can make a video about this. But there is something called long-term depression, which basically means the desynchronization of the hyperactive fusiform cells in the dorsal cochlear nucleus of the brainstem. Now, it is very important that this approach is specifically unique and tailored towards each individual patient, which the Susan Shore device will be, and which Lenire does not have. Lenire just plays a combination of random sounds that is not tailored to a person's tinnitus absolutely whatsoever. Now, one thing that people like to do is that they like to say that just because both of these treatments are bimodal stimulation means that they are exactly the same. They are not exactly the same, and they should not be discussed as such. That's just like saying all medications are the same because they are all in pill form. That's absolute nonsense. Now, I will be making a video about the specific science behind Susan Shore's device in the future. But for now, you can just check out some of my other videos on my channel. If you have any questions, you can definitely leave a comment below, or you can join my Discord community and you can tag me directly in the server if you have any questions. All right, that's all for today. Peace.